guys, welcome to my new series, Healthy Cooking 101. I've gotten asked a lot to do stuff like this. My husband and I are both trained chefs. We went to college, went through our culinary programs in our college, and so we have a lot of knowledge on cooking. And I've had a lot of my clients ask me, how to do this or how to do that. And I really wanted to start this series off with just the most basic thing ever, and that is knife skills. Knife skills don't get nearly enough importance or, aren't taught to normal people. And when I started my culinary college, our entire first day and our classes were like 3-ish, 4-ish hours long. We had an entire class just on knife skills and all that kind of stuff. So I want to give you guys kind of a really short and condensed version because you guys aren't going to be trained chefs. You don't need perfect cuts or anything, but I just want to give you guys the basics when it comes to knife. So the basics when it comes to knives are, the one thing I want to start with is the actual knife itself. So I see a lot of people buying those knife blocks that you can get at the store that have like 1,000,001 knives. I guarantee you, you don't need like 99% of them. So there's 2 knives that you only need, that I only ever used in my culinary classes. I cooked an array of dishes. You don't need this knife and this knife and this knife and this knife. You need just 2. You need a good chef's knife, okay? This is a Henckels knife. There's multiple brands of good knives. So go to your local restaurant store or cooking store or something. These are expensive. I'm warning you now. Not good knives, not just any knife, but a good knife is expensive. But it is awesome, awesome, awesome quality. I have had this knife for almost a decade. It is still going strong. It works perfectly for me. You don't need like a short knife and a long knife and you just need a chef's knife, okay? There's 2 different style of chef's knives. There is stamped. So if you think just a sheet of metal, they just stamp out the shape of the knife. And that's that. They're not bad quality, but they're not as strong, not as durable as the other kind, which is a forged knife. Mine is a forged knife. So a forged knife is what it sounds like, an old blacksmith, smacking the crap out of a piece of hot metal. They shape the knife. It's not stamped. Forged, you can tend to tell it has this, it usually has like a metal stem kind of going through the handle of the knife. And it's punched usually with 3 holes, or 2, however many they want to do. I prefer forged knife. It's just a better quality, but they're more expensive. So if you want to go with a stamped knife, that's perfectly fine. The other kind of chef's knife you need is a paring knife. This is literally the 2 knives you need. Chef's knife, paring knife, okay? A good knife is over $100, but it's a good knife. This has gone through many, many, many years of hard chef kitchen work, okay? The other really important thing with your knife is when you buy a nice knife, 1, if you can hold on to it, hold on to it. You want it to fit your hand, okay? There's chef's knives that are like, I don't remember how long mine is. Mine's an 8-inch knife, okay? There's some that are like 12 inches. They're huge. For some chefs, for some people, that works. This is what works for me. This was a graduation present from high school from my grandma, and I adore this thing. So if you can, go and like hold the knife. We have a chef's store downtown here in Santa Cruz that has all of their knives displayed up in a case, and you can hold every single one of them to see, does this fit my hand right? Does this one fit my hand right? You want your knife to feel comfortable in your hand. The other thing is this does not go through the dishwasher, ever, ever. Mine has been through the dishwasher a few times, and it's not supposed to. Michael's has gone through the dishwasher multiple times, and his is partially rusted, chipped. I mean, just don't do it. You've spent a fortune on a knife that's gonna last you decades. These things last forever when you treat them right. Don't put it through the dishwasher. Hand wash it only. Just don't do it. Don't put it in the dishwasher. It's the same thing with your little paring knife, okay? I have a Henckels paring knife as well. And it's forged. It's essentially a mini version of my chef knife. But just because it's small doesn't mean it can go through the dishwasher. It needs just as much care as your big expensive chef's knife. This wasn't as expensive. This was maybe $50 or $40. But those are the only two knives you need. Why are you going to spend, you know, a good couple hundred on a chef block with all of these knives that you don't need? My mom's got one that she's had for ages. I don't even know what some of those knives are for. Like, they have no purpose. The other thing you need, and the last thing you need in your chef knife arsenal, is a sharpener, okay? It's just a steel sharpener. They're usually just called steels. You can get marble. I think you can get marble ones. Mine's just regular steel. It's not serrated. It's got grooves in it. So what you do at home is you take your knife and you sharpen it. Okay, I'm sure you've seen this multiple times in movies with chefs sharpening their knives like that. But that's what keeps the edge nice. Eventually that knife is going to get dull and you are going to need to go take it to a professional to get it re-edged. We have one at our farmer's market. You just take your knife to him and he professionally does it at the farmer's market. You take it and you're good. As long as you baby your knife, you basically won't ever need to buy another knife, okay? A chef and their knife it's like the strongest relationship in the kitchen is a chef with their knife. You're very, when we were there, Michael asked to borrow, because he needed like a certain knife from one of the guys, and asked if he could borrow it, and the guy was like, yeah, no problem, and Michael was just shocked because these are so important and like special to us. And he made sure to hand wash this thing, hand dried it, made sure it was resharpened, and brought it back to the guy because it's very respectful. These knives are expensive and they're basically an extension of your arm in the kitchen. So there's two things I want to show you how to cut today. I want to show you how to cut an onion because that gets asked a lot, and just really how to cut something like a carrot. So I've got an onion in its skin and everything. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then a carrot. Just because sometimes the like different shapes and like widths and everything screw people up. So I'm going to show you how that goes. The other thing is you want a wood cutting board. You don't want glass. I don't know what the purpose of glass cutting boards is, because if you've spent a couple, over $100 on your chef's knife, you do not want to be smacking that puppy against glass. You're just going to ruin your knife. So I don't see the point of glass knives or glass cutting boards. So wood cutting board is really all you need. Plastic is good if you're doing meat because it's easier to clean. It doesn't get bacteria in the wood. So we have another separate cutting board that's only used for meat. That is like sanitation 101, is have a different cutting board for vegetables and fruits and stuff like that, and then something for meat and only meat. Don't cut anything else on that but meat. So wood cutting board, my trick, because I've had people that are like, oh, I'm trying to cut and my cutting board's wiggling all over the place, is you are going to take like a little kitchen towel. I think these are called bar towels at Target, but you're just going to lie it on the table. So you're going to lie it on the table, put your cutting board on it. No wiggles. Super easy. Alright, so I want to talk about how to hold your knife, because holding your knife is very, very, very important. I can't stress this enough. So you have your knife. There's two and only two ways to hold your knife. Hold it full grip like this, Or what I do, it's most comfortable and it's what we are taught in culinary school, is you are going to essentially pinch the blade, okay? So one finger, your index finger comes down on the blade, your thumb pinches it, okay? That's all, and everything else grips the handle. You're holding it closer, it's easier to move along with the knife, and there's no slippage. I don't ever want to see this, okay? Your finger slips off, you're gonna chop that puppy off, okay? Don't do that. Pinch, hold the handle, that's it. Don't hold your knife any other way. Paring knife, I honestly either, same thing. If I'm cutting something really small, right up on the blade, or I hold the handle, okay? Don't put your finger on the spine of the blade. You're just asking to chop a finger off there, okay? Now, I want to show, so there's two ways. I hold my steel up while I'm sharpening, but you can also put it down vertically. What you want to do when you are sharpening your knife is you want to take it parallel. There's 90. You want to go at like a 45, okay? And you're going from butt to tip and then constantly switching sides, okay? You don't need to do this like 1,000,001 times. Like 3 or 4 times each side, that's it. Now, when we're cutting an onion, there's a little, I always just take these little like skins that are like partially already falling off, just kind of slightly peel them off because otherwise they just get in the way. Okay, you have your root and you have the tip. I want you, what you're going to do is you're going to lie it flat. You're going to hold your knife either by the handle or by gripping onto the blade. Is you're going to cut it from stem to tip. Okay? The reason you do that is when you're cutting, the root holds everything, all of the layers of the onion together, so you're not chasing bits of onion all over the place. Then what you're going to do, I'll use this piece because it's bigger, is there's the stemmy tip here. I'm going to take your knife, you're just going to slice that very slightly, okay? Just to get rid of it. Now you can peel. That's one thing that a lot of people are like frustrated on, is why can't I peel my onion? This is very hard, it's very frustrating, is you just need to take off one end of it, like that, and the thing will easily peel. Okay, now the thing's peeled, you still have your root on it. Palm flat. Okay, there's 2 ways that you're going to cut things. You're either going to go palm flat, fingers are like squeezed up and away from whatever you're cutting, or your knuckles are straight like that, because I can go like this and I'm not cutting my fingers. Okay, so you always either have them curled under, away from your knife, so your knife is essentially, if you come close enough, you're just going to slide against your finger. You're not going to hit you're not going to take off a nail or a finger. Never cut like this, okay? I don't ever want to see anyone doing this, because you're just asking to lose a fingertip, and nobody wants that. So, to start with cutting the onion, this is when we were in culinary school. I can't tell you how many onions I had to cut that first day. It was like 20 onions. It was miserable. My eyes were watering like crazy. I'm going to show you the quickest and easiest way if you want to cut your onion with a knife. There's another video I'll do of my essential gadgets that I have in my kitchen. And that's usually what I tend to cut my onions with. But if you want to cut it by hand, this is how you're going to do it. So you're going to cut off that stem, you're going to peel it, you're going to keep the root on. Palm flat. You're going to make either 1 or 2, depending on the width of your onion, parallel to the cutting board, cuts in, not all the way to the tip. Because if you cut that, the whole thing's just going to fall apart. Okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to turn the onion towards you. Fingers curled back, is you're just going to make a couple slits down towards the stem. Okay, eventually, yeah, one end might come off. Okay, now you've got 2 different cuts, and then all you're going to do is cut like that. And voila, you have a bunch of cut up onion for a stew, cooking a chicken, whatever you want to do, okay? It's the easiest way. And if, if you don't want to dice it like that, if you want to do half moons, you're already halfway, you're already there when you've skinned this puppy. Oh my god, my eyes are burning. Now you have little half moons, or little arches, okay? So it's very easy. That's how you cook or how you cut up an onion. Very, very, very simple. As for my tips to make your eyes water while you're cooking, make your eyes not, obviously you don't want your eyes to water. To make your eyes not water while you're cutting an onion, I can't help you with that. There's some myths that chewing gum works, wearing sunglasses work, none of which I have found to help all particularly much. Gum is the easiest one that I've been able to discover to work well. Now that we've got the onion done, carrot. Okay, so it's got two different sizes. So if you're trying to make little half moons or dicing it or whatever, I'll show you a couple different cuts you can do with a carrot, because it depends on obviously what your recipe calls for. Okay, so what you want to do is take off this root and tip end. These are really good to put in stock. You don't need to toss these. Just put them off to the side. Okay, so what you are going to do is, you see we've got this really wide section here and there's a lot narrower section. Cut it. It's very, don't try to go down the middle and then you're going to end up with super big hunks on this side and like super tiny hunks on this side. If you want things to cook evenly, I'm not telling you to be chef level. Like if I was a chef, even this is too unnarrow. Like I'd have to do 3 here. We're not chef level kitchen, we're just cooking out. So what you're going to do is, this also will roll around a lot, and a lot of people get kind of scared about that. So all you're going to do is pinch the carrot, cut down the stem, right down the center, okay? Now you have a flat edge, super easy, okay? If you are ever scared to have your fingers near your knife, just go slow. You don't, I'm cooking, I cut a lot faster than most people do because that's how I was taught. You have to go quickly in culinary school. So, cut it in half, okay? From here, you can cut it in half again. And then now you've got hunks that you can put in a stew or whatever you want to use them for, okay? You don't need perfect even dices. In culinary school, it was like, that's not exactly the same size as this hunk, so you need to redo it. Don't do that. That takes forever and it's a waste of carrots. There's also, if you want to just do little half moon slices, okay? Super easy. You'll see chefs, especially like Rachel Ray on the TV, she has her knuckles right up against her knife at all times. That's what we were kind of taught to do in culinary school. I don't know. It's not that I'm scared, it's just I can't move the stuff while cutting. It just doesn't work. The thing you want to keep in mind too is you want to go from tip to heel. Tip to heel. You'll notice it's curved. That's so you can do this. It's not this, okay? Tip to heel, tip to heel. The other thing is your knife doesn't move on this board. You are moving the food, whatever you are cutting up, through the knife, okay? If you start moving your knife, you're gonna end up over here instead of right in the center where it's like the best cutting spot, okay? So that's how you make little half moons. These are good for snacks. That's kind of why I wanted to show you guys carrots. I've had clients ask me before, how do I cut up fresh vegetables for snacks. I mean, if you love baby carrots, it's cool, but if you want to, you know, save money buying a whole carrot and then quickly chopping it up, no big deal. If you want little rounds, please, for the love of God, just be really, really, really careful with it. And just go slow, okay? I will go slow on this. I don't go fast. So what I do, when I have something like a carrot and I'm cutting it, is I have my nails, because I have longer nails, but your fingertips touching, fingers are practically vertical. My thumb is over here and it's pushing the stuff. That's what moves it, okay? Especially as you get closer to your fingertips, please just go a little bit slower until you feel more comfortable with your knife. And it's just practice. Just practice. Paring knife is, this is not a little choppy tool, okay? Please don't ever use this for like a little chopping tool. This is for, I use it to cut apples or like core out an apple. As you feel more comfortable with your knife, you're not going to be so scared of using it. The other tip I have is do not be afraid of a sharp blade. I know a lot of people are terrified, oh, I'm going to get cut when I have a sharp blade. Well, if you're, you know, not using correct safety with your knife, yes, you will probably cut yourself. But you are more likely to cut yourself when you have a dull blade. That's why this is part of your arsenal, is keeping your knife sharp. If you have a dull knife and you're trying to cut a carrot, it's going to go and not cut through, or, you know, cut funky and then slice up towards your hand. A sharp blade will go through the food faster, go through it cleanly. You don't have to worry about your knife slipping and hitting you and chopping off something, okay? Alright guys, I hope this was helpful. Just remember, chef knife, paring knife, that's all you guys need. Don't be afraid to spend money on a good knife, because this is what you primarily use in the kitchen. If you go and don't spend, if you go the cheap route, you're going to end up with a cheap knife, okay? Just remember that. Trying to save money when buying your knife is not a good idea. Just spend the money and get a good quality knife. This will help you a lot when you're doing home kitchen. It saves you money on having to buy pre-cut stuff, because I know places like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's has the cut up carrots and onions and, you know, all this kind of stuff that you use when you're cooking, but it costs so much more. And yeah, some days there's days that I just buy the bag of cut onions because I'm cooking a bunch of stuff and I don't want to, you know, spend all that time cutting the onion. But this will save you money. It's another tool in your arsenal to cook at healthy at home, so you can not have to eat out or spend so much money on trying to get pre-done stuff. Just practice with this and you'll be good to go. Make sure you like this if you like this kind of video. Comment below if there's anything else you would like to see, any other topics you'd like to see in this healthy cooking series that I'm doing. And please make sure you subscribe for the next video. Make sure you share it, because I know everyone wants to know how this kind of stuff works. So make sure you like, comment below, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!